Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Liz and Let Grow, and my name is Liz if you are new here. Today I'm going to be making a tomato glut sauce, which if you don't know, a glut is just when you have a lot of one thing. It is tomato season right now and I do have a lot of tomatoes. I don't have a ton of tomatoes, I've been using them up, but I do have a lot of the paste tomatoes, the San Marzano tomatoes, and a glut of the other tomatoes. Also, the chili peppers are looking really good, but I'm going to be saving those for chili oil and the garlic chili crisp that I make. So first I start by preheating the oven to 400 degrees. For this recipe, you're going to need about 6 pounds of tomatoes, and the plums, it says on the recipe, are the best, cored and quartered. The recipe also calls for 1.5 cups of coarsely chopped carrots, which is optional, 1.5 cups of coarsely chopped celery, also optional, 1.5 cups of coarsely chopped onions, 9 cloves of garlic, coarsely chopped, 6 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, which, if you see my mom's note, equals roughly a scant 1/2 cup of balsamic vinegar, 1 bay leaf, 1.5 teaspoons each of fresh thyme, oregano, basil, and parsley, 1.5 teaspoons of salt or less to taste, 1 tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper. We are basically just going to be prepping all of those ingredients right now. I'm measuring out my tomatoes. First I started with the plums, or the San Marzano type tomatoes, and got pretty much right around 6 pounds of tomatoes. I did add more in the end because I had more tomatoes, so I needed to use up a little bit more. Anyway, we're just going to core them, which means take out the little stem part, just quarter them. Another reason why I love this recipe so much is that if you look on the recipe card, I can just read it for you because I don't want you to have to go back. But it says, here's a popular recipe from Joan Gusau's book, This Organic Life. It's a lifesaver when you're drowning in a sea of tomatoes. This recipe is more forgiving than your favorite aunt. The ingredients, other than the tomatoes, garlic, and balsamic vinegar, are pretty much up to you, depending on what you have too much of. I've put in a lot of cut up peppers, I've used eggplant and zucchini in place of the carrots, and since I've never grown celery, only celery leaf, I put some of that in too. The secret seems to lie in the balsamic vinegar and the roasting process itself. All the community gardeners who asked me for the recipe came back thanking me for brightening their summer. So that was just a sweet little blurb at the top of the recipe card. But I have to agree, this is a great recipe just to have on hand. It's kind of one of those recipe non-recipes, so you just kind of throw everything on a pan, you roast it, and then you put it in your food processor. You could even do it with a stick blender if you have one and you don't have a food processor, so that would also yield very good results, I think. Or you could just stick it in your blender. The method would, up until that point, would remain exactly the same. Cut up your tomatoes, cut up your onions, your garlic, add the balsamic vinegar and any other vegetables that you want to add, and roast it until they're nice and tender. I do like to add, and I think I may have done that off camera, but I do like to add some carrots as well, because carrots cut back on the acidity, and they also add just another level of, sweetness and complexity to the sauce. And also, I usually put this over pasta, so, you're getting tons of fruits and veg because, tomato is a fruit, so you're getting tons of fruit and veg in one dish, which is very handy, especially when you have littles like me. Not that my littles don't like vegetables. They love vegetables. I will definitely be making this recipe again and be adding a little bit more probably a little bit of my peppers. I grow pepperoncinis, which I normally just slice, and I throw them into whatever pickle brine is available to throw them into in my fridge, whether it's homemade or just, from the store. So I think this would really be really good with peppers in it, whatever kind of peppers you have, maybe even spicy peppers. You could also throw some olives in there, which would be really good. But this is just a good, method kind of to have on hand. This is also a really good way to make a roasted tomato soup. I think a lot of people do that too, where they cut up the tomatoes like this, they roast them, and then they puree it with, I think, cream or maybe just some chicken stock or something. But roasting the tomatoes goes a long way to preserve some of that delicious freshness. And when you're drowning in a sea of tomatoes, it really does help to have a recipe like this in your toolbox. This recipe is also really great as a base for making a bolognese, which is like a meat sauce. That's actually what I did at the end of the video, which I will show you. But I basically just browned a bunch of meat, ground beef, and then I threw in quite a bit of the sauce, probably about half the sauce that I made. No, I should take that back. Almost less than a quarter. This made a lot of sauce. I threw in about a quarter of the sauce in with the meat and cooked it with the meat, and it was delicious. And I served it over egg noodles. You can also use it as a stew base. So my mom would add venison chunks to it growing up, and it was so delicious and tender. And I can't remember how she served it, but maybe over noodles or like egg noodles or pasta or something, but it was fantastic. If you can see here, I'm preserving some of the seeds from a big beefy tomato. I showed you this in the last video. Just scrape out some of the flesh onto a paper towel, and the flesh dries with the seed and holds the seed on there, and then you can just peel the seed off when you're ready to plant it. I'm also using some of my own fresh garlic for this recipe, which I really need to clear a bed for that because planting garlic time is almost upon us. I'm saving the best and the biggest garlic that I grew to plant this year. It was probably one of the easiest crops that I've ever grown. You just stick them in the ground and then they sit all winter. You don't have to water them, and then they pop up in the spring, and yeah, you just get these. I cut off, you can use the garlic scapes, which I did for other recipes like pesto, or just throw them in where you would, onions or garlic. And it was such a satisfying crop to grow. So I can't wait to plant probably 5 times as much as I planted last year, because it was just too easy not to do it again. And if I have the space, definitely going to be planting a lot more garlic in the fall. And absolutely all of the kitchen scraps from today, all the onion ends and the tomato little cores are going into the compost. And I do have a composting video. Hopefully we'll debunk how hard or how stinky or how unsightly it is to do. I really encourage you to do it if you do have a garden. You can even, I show you different methods of how to compost, and there's like a trench method where you literally just dig a hole and bury some of the compost, and then it eventually makes it doesn't eventually. It makes it into your garden that way, and the worms help compost it as well, so you don't even have to see it. Really, regardless of how big or how small scale your garden is, I think everyone can benefit from composting. So I wish I had more balsamic vinegar than I did, but I did just substitute it with some apple cider vinegar, which I don't think is exactly the same, obviously the same flavor profile, but it does help to add a little depth. I will have to update you all some other time on my pot situation on my deck. I can't say that they're doing super well, except that one that I showed you. You can probably see in the background. Some of them are a little crispy, but the dahlias are still, pushing out flowers. The basil is on its last leg because it didn't get watered for a week. So, whoops. Some of them are squeaking by, the ones like Time with the Sedum definitely did not mind not being watered. But yeah, this parsley, which I've been cutting on for months and months and months, has seen, and it just needs a big haircut. And then it'll spring right back. Sneak peek of those pots there. And this is one of the seed dahlias, actually a couple of the seed dahlias that I planted from seed, I think back in January or something, and my sister and I potted them, or planted them out, and they're just absolutely stunning and so tall, which is incredible, because these are taller than the ones that I grow from tubers. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping to try to save whatever tuber is underneath those. I don't know if they will even have tubers, so I guess we'll find out when I dig them up after the season. Here I am harvesting oregano if it just looks like I'm pulling out stuff from my garden. Dahlias don't love to be left in the ground, which is why people dig them up, because the tubers will rot if they're kept too wet. A really easy way to strip it is just to take it individual stems and go backwards. This is just kind of finicky, and honestly, if they weren't so woody, you could just throw the whole thing in there. Like the oregano, I could have just thrown in the entire thing. I don't think it would have bothered the sauce at all. If you enjoy these cooking type videos, please let me know in the comments, and also please give this video a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to my little channel and to me. I absolutely love, sharing what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm excited for what's to come in my garden, and I have some exciting news. Well, besides a new baby, I don't know what could be more exciting than that. But I do have an exciting drop coming on my channel. Something I've been hiding from you, and it's not a pregnancy, because I haven't been hiding that, but I'm very excited to share something. So make sure you like and subscribe and follow along. Big changes, they're on their way to my garden. And this would be really good with some red wine too. If you wanted to substitute the balsamic with the red wine, ooh, that would be really good. So I did add about 4 carrots to the pan, and you may think that this is way too much for my pan, and it is, because I added even more tomatoes. I think I could have left this all in one pan, but I just wanted to be safe. I ended up moving it to 2 pans just so that the liquid didn't overflow. Just giving it a quick mix with my hands just to incorporate everything together and get everything salted and homogeneous. Here are my pans ready to go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes or until all the vegetables are soft. Yes, that is my oven face. I make that face every time I open the oven. So this was about after 45 to 50 minutes and just testing the largest vegetables with a fork to see if they are tender, and they indeed were. So I let the pans cool off slightly, and I'm just scooping the vegetables into my food processor with the blade attachment and making sure to get all of the juices and the little bits of garlic that are left on the pan. You do not want to leave those behind. Just scoop them all into your food processor as much as you think will fit. This is I think a 12-cup processor. There is a bigger one, but I prefer this model because it has the older and more sturdy engine. That's about as much as I put in. It is very liquidy, and I didn't want it to escape out the top, which it can do. You're going to blitz this up just until you reach your desired consistency. I like to leave mine slightly chunky, so it's more of a textured sauce and not just a puree, but you can go as pureed as you want. So again, you could do this in your blender, you could do this with a stick, with a immersion blender, put it all in a big bowl, just blitz it up to your desired consistency. To store this, I use Ziploc bags, and I'm planning on storing this in my freezer. I put the bag in you could do this in a big measuring cup or in a bowl that will fit. Flip over the top so that the top rim doesn't get dirty, and then just fill it with your sauce. Usually you want about like 2 to 3 cups of sauce per bag. That's kind of like a good family size serving. The recipe that I showed you, I froze 2 of these bags, and then I had probably about 1 more after that, but I did end up using it for 2 different meals, which worked out great. So I've found that this is just the easiest and the cleanest way of filling bags with very soupy, saucy things. As always, do not forget to label. You will not remember what it is. So I labeled it Glut sauce, date. I put it into a 1/4 sheet pan, and that goes right into the freezer. The reason why I like to freeze it flat on a pan is just for ease of defrosting. So when I take it out, it will defrost quickly. You know, once it defrosts slightly, you can just kind of snap it in half, stick it in your pot or your pan. Like I said earlier, you could use this for your stews. You can put it with ground meat. Just a great way to preserve all those tomatoes, and you could do zucchini and peppers, like I said. Just a great way to preserve your bountiful harvest. This would make such a great base to a cozy meal in the fall and the winter. Just to remind you about all that hard work you put in the garden. Let's enjoy the fruits of our labor and make them last. So here I just have some meat that is browning or cooking in my pan, which I use for bread, which is why it's no longer white. But I just add the Glut sauce right on top of the meat, and I served this over egg noodles, which I did not get a final shot of because we were hungry at this point. So you'll just have to trust me that it was delicious, and I topped it with some freshly ground Parmigiano Reggiano. Made a fantastic, hearty, delicious meal. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to check out that composting video and maybe even the tour of my August garden. You know, not the most beautiful, but it is still producing for me, and I have new things going in. Very exciting. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.